recording, looking good, sounding good.
What should I look at? You
can look at me.
Okay, awesome.
And when you're not looking at me, you can look at the middle one right there, and that one is looking directly at you. And with that, we are rolling. We are still here at X Games 2024, Ventura, California. I am Sam Schneider. I am Bad Beard, and this is my show. And the fun thing about the show is that I get to meet fine individuals like you in unique places and learn what the hell's going on. So who are you?
I'm Captain Liana Su. I'm in the U.S. Army. I currently work in Georgetown, D.C. as the officer in charge for the Army Medical Recruiting Station of D.C.
And so you guys are here, and you guys can't see it, but there's another gentleman on the floor, tucked just so nicely. But you guys are here kind of just getting into this community, this different industry, just finding different ways to get in and fit in?
Yes, so 8 of us were selected to come out from all different parts of the U.S., and we all have a different passion, from competitive level to myself, which is more of a recreational passion for extreme sports, and just come and engage and talk to people and hopefully just start like a new relationship with X Games. I've had a really amazing time so far.
So you say recreationally, are you a skater, or you're definitely one of the motocross chicks, right?
I wish. So I grew up longboarding, and more so recreational for a means of transportation. I lived in upstate New York, so I had a pennyboard, longboard, kind of shifting. I lived in Korea from 2022 to 2023, and there I picked up snowboarding. Actually, one of my first time snowboarding was a date, and it was 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. We were just like, let's drive all the way to go snowboard, and so that's where I learned.
One of those really cool indoor spots.
It was outdoors.
Okay.
It was outdoors, and it was popping, and I just loved the community. It kind of reminded me of like the longboard community in New York, just a lot of people that are passionate about it. I also scuba dive recreationally. I also got into that. My soldier, he asked me to re-enlist him, and he said, ma'am, can you re-enlist me underwater? And I was like, how do we do that? Because I never had known anything about scuba diving. It kind of freaked me out. And he was like, well, you have to get a license and a certificate to be an open water scuba diver, and then we can go underwater. And I was like, I love that idea. Let me try it. I'm always down to do anything.
Yeah.
So try it once. Skydiving, when I was in basic officer leadership course in San Antonio, my classmates and I were like, let's go skydiving. Yeah. And so I was like, okay. So when my soldier said, I kind of want you to re-enlist me, but I have this crazy idea to do scuba diving.
So when you're saying re-enlist, this is actual like a paperwork process that would generally be done over a desk, but they're like, he's just trying to...
Yeah, so soldiers can choose to have like a fun ceremony, and they usually select an officer who re-enlists them using the oath of re-enlistment. A lot of times it's in an office or it's somewhere scenic, and he chose to do it underwater. We did cave diving at Devil's Den in Florida.
I've been there.
Yes, and that kind of started my interest and passion for scuba diving as well. I'm getting my advanced water cert actually next month in Croatia with my best friend from the Army.
I got my my scuba certification this year. I'm a stuntman in Atlanta, Georgia, and the more accolades you have on your resume, the more opportunity you have for work. And so a buddy of mine who also a BMX guy here at X Games did not make it this year, but we all got certified, and I wouldn't say I'm like full-blown like claustrophobic, but I was well aware that I didn't like being controlled underwater with like the idea of the bends and the bubbles and all the things. And so growing up in Florida, where I'm from, I didn't realize how big of a hurdle it was for me until I was in the position of doing it. But I relate to what you were saying, where it's like, until you did it, like, it was a bit of a hill to climb underwater. But
it was a unique feeling. Like, I remember the dive master saying, I'll never forget my first breath. And I was like, that's so silly. Like, I just put on the regulator and I go underwater. And then I remember going underwater. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this. And then I was like, I have to do this for my soldier. And I ended up just getting over that one hurdle of, like you said, the claustrophobia. And it just feels unnatural to breathe underwater. And since then, I've had some really amazing dives. Last year, the Army sent me to San Diego for a work trip. And in my free time, I went diving in La Jolla. And that was just a beautiful dive. Sharks came up to us, sea lions. It was really beautiful.
They just knew you were Army, so they didn't fuck around, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
There's like, like eyes on eyes, just who's going to win this battle?
They know. They're coming with backup. That's good.
and it was amazing. I don't have the strongest swim experience. I had lessons, but that was super tough. It was a half-mile swim out on our backs. I don't know if you've had to swim backwards, but I had just completed about a month before that my first triathlon. I signed up for a half Ironman. I just thought this would just be really fun to try, and I said, I think I could do this, and then I realized, oh, you have to swim 1.2 miles. So last year I worked on getting good at swimming so I could complete it.
Dang, well, good on it. Literally, you are living up to the motto of be all you can be. That seems to be this thing. Well, good for you. So I actually had the fortune to talk to somebody from your camp down there. Part of what I feel like I understand you guys are wanting to do is there's a lot more opportunity in the military in positions that people don't know that necessarily exist. And I was learning more about that, and I equally had no idea. Can you fill me a little more in on what that is, and then equally what you guys are doing here to kind of relay that?
Right, so there's so many different jobs in the Army that you can do, and I think...
Is podcaster one?
Yeah, perhaps there might be, or maybe we should create a job just for you, Sam.
There you go.
But I think one of the biggest things with Be All You Can Be is that you put on your uniform. We're always a soldier 24/7, but you take off that uniform and it's like, what are your hobbies? What are your passions? What do you like doing outside the Army? We have so many awesome jobs. Like, I didn't know 2 years ago that I'd be in downtown Georgetown, D.C. on Canal Street talking with medical students, asking what their aspirations are. And it's kind of a convo we have day to day when we talk to these med students, these different applicants that want to join, and they think, I don't want to lose my identity. I am passionate about X, Y, Z. And, we're here at the X Games to say you can be passionate. Morgan, she's a chief military intelligence down in Georgia, and she is a nationally ranked BMX racer, and her unit gave her the time to go out and compete nationally for that title while she had her job. And so it's like, you can have your job in the Army. Like, my unit, when I was in Korea, I was like, hey, I'm going to do this half Ironman. It's been a goal of mine for the last 6 months when I decided I wanted to do it. And they're like, yeah, take the time to train, take that extra time that you need. And I think that's super important to know, because everyone sees the Army and they think like one mold, one uniform that everybody wears. But it's like, when you take that uniform after 5 p.m., what do you do and what are you passionate about? Are you going to the skate park? Are you driving at 4 a.m. to go snowboarding? Like, are you picking up...
Cute, though.
Yes. Are you picking up a book and reading? Like, who are you outside of your uniform, and how can you keep your identity but still serve the country?
Well, so what was your introduction to the military? When was it that you, was it the JROTC? Were you like, that's for me?
So I grew up in a military household, but I'm not going to lie, my dad, he was like, I was a lieutenant colonel, and all I could think of was Colonel Mustard from Clue. So I never really put any references of the military in. When I was 17 years old, my mom said, Liana, go down to the guidance counselor's office and sign up for the PSATs. Well, I accidentally signed up for the high school armed forces. I wish. The Armed Forces Aptitude Test. Yeah. So I remember on Halloween I get a pass, and it's like, go to this room, and there's a bunch of people with like locked briefcases and suits, and they come in, these people in suits come in, and I'm like, what is this? And they're like, the Armed Forces Aptitude Test. I was like, this is not the PSATs, but it got me out of AP Physics, so I was like, I'm down. I'm down to take this test, see how I do. I ended up doing pretty well on it, and my dad said, can you just listen to one recruiter? And after that, you can tell them all you're not interested. So I remember my recruiter, and he's still in the National Guard today, Sergeant Zwack. I went and he talked to me, and honestly, he said, you have to go through a gas chamber, and that's the scariest thing. And I heard gas chamber, that sounds like a crazy story to tell people. Like, this was between junior and senior year of high school, and I was like, that'd be a really cool story to tell people. I knew Liana was going to say that. She goes, yeah, gas chamber, that was a big turn on for me. That's definitely what I wanted my experience to be. So I was like, okay, sign me up. This sounds really cool. So I went that summer. I joined the New York State National Guard. I ended up just liking it so much that I applied for a national ROTC scholarship. I ended up switching. I went to my family's alma alma mater, Virginia Tech, did the Corps of Cadets, and I decided, this is something I want to do. This is super fun. And like even with ROTC, when I was in ROTC, I held leadership positions, but again, with Be All You Can Be, I was the scholarship director for my social sorority. I had a job on campus. I did so many activities outside of just being in the Army. So that was kind of big for me, and they've let me always pursue my passions. I played field hockey in high school, and then when I went to Korea, I picked up club field hockey with the local Korean team. So it's just like everywhere I go with the military, I always am finding still a way to be myself out of uniform, and I kind of love it because I'm getting paid. I get to have a cool job and say I'm in the Army, and I get to be like here at the X Games. I get to be in Korea going down like a mountain, and it's awesome.
I have such limited experience with the Army, with any of the branches, that I don't know what normal is. The experience that you're living, are these all possibilities and potentials of anybody enlisted that they could find these same, what you're doing, or is it that you just exemplified this type of cadet that was just this type of person, or how's that look?
I think that anybody can. It's really important to have that conversation with leadership. So I remember when I was a platoon leader, which is one of the first jobs that you get coming out of college and being a second lieutenant in the Army, I sat down with all my soldiers and I said, what do you want to do? Like, what do you like? What are your hobbies?
What do you want to do when you grow up?
Basically, tell me who you are, what you want to do. A lot of them, for them, they want education. Some of them won't open up about personal things until they trust you. And so some of them, I'm a big raver, and some of them were like, I like to rave or something like that. So
Cascade tonight, you guys ready?
Oh yeah, I'm so ready.
Okay.
I even brought my earplugs, but
Professional.
yes. But learning all those things my soldiers are passionate about, and they tell me like, hey man, I want to take leave, I want to go to Coachella or something. Okay, awesome, I'm signing off on it. Or I want to go hunting. It's just having that conversation and understanding your soldiers enough to allow them those opportunities, or even the educational opportunities. A lot of the soldiers I meet, they just want to start pursuing like an associate's and a bachelor's degree.
Is that what the majority is? Like, majority of people are like, I can get my education paid through this experience, and so with enlisting, that's one of the major stepping stones?
Yes, so enlisting and officer. So I had a scholarship, so they did pay for my schooling while I was in ROTC, and then with enlistment, we have tuition assistance program, and that pays for classes for your undergrad, even your master's program. We have credentialing assistance too. I've used that. Right now I'm taking Mandarin Chinese, and the Army's paying $4,000 to an institute to just tutor me in Chinese. Ni hao.
That's all I got.
Okay.
Andeseo Pego Pago, I got my Korean down.
Oh man, see, in Korea for a year, can't speak any Korean.
My ex-wife is Korean, so I picked up more than I needed.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's super cool. So, I probably have 1,000,000 questions, but is there anything specific that you want to bring light to or attention to while we're at a place like this doing what we do? What's like go-to talking points that you're like, what people are maybe misnomers or misunderstanding about what the Army represents?
Well, I think something really important with the Army is not only are you serving your country and just having like the freedom to serve your country, but pursue your passion. Like, there's opportunities to be a public affairs officer. There's opportunities to do finance. Not everyone is that combat arms, like blowing things up. And if that's something you like, that's awesome, because we have a lot of jobs where you can blow things up. But if that's not your passion, and you like to push papers, you like to do all these different things that don't involve like the adrenaline rush, the Army has that. And if you join the Army, not only that, like exploit the Army for everything the Army offers. Tuition assistance, like the GI Bill that will pay for your education after a certain amount of time of serving. I know me personally, like I believe in maximizing every opportunity. I never turn anything down. I've been to China with the Army. I've been to Thailand with the Army, Korea, Europe, Romania. I was in Europe during COVID. I never turned down an opportunity, and I feel like by not turning down any opportunities in the Army, all it's done is opened more doors for me. It's made me a more experienced individual. It's given me opportunities to pursue my passions. It's given me a lot of opportunities to just learn about who I am as an individual. And had I just said, no, I'm not interested, or that sounds a little like not something that's my forte, I wouldn't have learned all these amazing opportunities, taken these opportunities, and traveled where I have. I'm like a huge traveler, so any opportunity to go anywhere, sign me up. I'll go.
There you go. Well, and now you're currently traveling in the Happier Camper.
Yes.
And we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
I had a question. I just lost it with my corny joke. What was it?
Happens to the best of us, Sam.
You know what I mean? So, with all the opportunities that are presented and all the things as individuals we are, is there like an art department for the Army? Like, is that like if you say public affairs or pushing papers, like, is there a creative space for someone in the Army?
I would say there's a creative space. I don't know, like
Creative problem solving.
Listen, Sam, every single job in the Army is almost creative problem solving if you go into that realm. But I know that there are creative spaces. I'm learning new things every day. I sat down and talked to one of the officers today that's the battalion commander, so she's pretty high up there, high ranking. And she came to visit, and she was telling me that within the different units that fall under her, she has a professional bass fishing team. And
that makes sense.
I didn't know that existed, so I'm assuming if we have a bass fishing team, we definitely have an art space out there. She has an esports team that she manages. The Golden Knights were here today. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see them jump. And every day that I'm in United States Recruiting Command, I just learned that there are more and more opportunities for people to really capitalize on those unique talents that they have while serving their country. We've got Olympians that are in the military, professional marksmen.
How many people are in the Army actively?
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
lot.
It's a lot, though.
Yeah. Is there room for more?
There's always room for more, Sam. We're always looking. I'm a medical recruiting officer, so not only am I the officer in charge, but I'm always looking for people that want to pursue the medical side of the Army. We have scholarships that cover full rides for dental, medical, vet school, and I feel like what I learned talking to young students that want to pursue these, even our own soldiers within our ranks, just sometimes there's so much information overload, there's so many opportunities in the Army that people almost just don't know where to start with learning that information. And I know from us in DC, we're constantly working on trying to get that message out there that we have the money, we have the scholarships, we want the best, the brightest, and the most talented to become our future physicians, our future healthcare officers. And I'm sure USAREC as a whole wants the best, brightest, talented, creative individuals that want to come in and build our Army and bring those creative ideas and bring like all their talents to the Army.
I have so much respect for our military personnel because I fully love the freedoms that I have here in this country. My brand and kind of the life I live is built on the practices of the security and opportunity provided to us in this great land. And I think it was just my experience that didn't inform me of, like my grandpa was in the Army when he came over from Germany and the opportunity that presented him. But for my experience, it just wasn't part of the conversation. I'm 36 now, but at the time, growing up and thinking about the life I've lived that's brought me to this point, I've always, like, if I walk into whatever and just based on, I don't know, my appearance or something, like people are going, you were in the military? I'm like, no. But just the same, it's like, it's always been something that I saw as like, you know what, hindsight and such, that would have been something that I would have considered in a different way that would have, I do believe, as you described, served me on my journey. And it's really exciting to hear what you guys are doing and not to be like beating the drum, but I do see all the offerings that as real potential for a lot of these kids. So finding them here is exactly where you should be. That's great.
And this is the perfect place. People that love the adrenaline rush, they love being outdoors, challenging themselves. We're always looking for people that want to challenge themselves to be all you can be.
Be all you can be. That's great. I only see Pauly Shore when I think of that. So this is the time of the show that you can say anything you want, bring attention to whatever you want. That camera, it is your time to shine.
Trying to think.
Check his notes.
Well, I think that the Army, again, Sorry. I don't want to like reiterate the same thing, but there are so many opportunities. I just feel like a lot of people don't realize they're out there, starting from scholarships, different opportunities to have creative platforms. I think it's worth just calling your local recruiter, doing some online research before you kind of put down the Army, or even just put down our fellow sister services. I think it's really important for you to sit down with a professional who is a subject matter expert of the military and a recruiter, and give them a call if you have an inkling of interest.
When you say sister services, it's not brother services?
Sister, brother, non-discriminate.
Non-discriminate. I love that. Well, I appreciate you, and thank you for sharing your time with me, guys.
Thank you, Sam. It was great meeting you.
No, absolutely, and I hope
Thank you
to see you guys around again, maybe more X Games events or whatnot, and I'll probably see you
Aspen.
raving tonight at Cascade.
I'm ready for Cascade. Got my earplugs ready to go.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you out there. And thank you guys for following along. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you have any questions, go to army.com, I assume. It's probably available on there.
Go Army.
That's what I said. GoArmy.com. All right. Have a good one until next time. That was it.
Awesome. Thank you.
How was that?
You were
It was
outstanding.
good. It was,
Good.
it was a lot.
I looked it up. It's for active duty. In terms of soldiers, it's about 453,000.
We're still rolling 453,000. That's a lot of them. In the cut.